Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. This is my first speech at Toastmasters, but it's not my first time public speaking. See, I did a presentation in college, and I was so nervous, I couldn't get the words out, and I was shaking and quivering. But you know, that is not the reason I joined Toastmasters. I joined Toastmasters because I saw a contest, and I looked at the stage, and I said, I want to be up there. But what would I talk about? Well, there's one thing I can talk about, and that is food. See, I first fell in love with food when I was a toddler, and I had my first French fry. It was warm, crispy, a little salty and starchy. Delicious. And then I was baking as a kid with my mom. See, she loved lemon poppy seed muffins. You know, the yellow muffins with the little black dots in them? And we would get the mix from the store and put the mix in a bowl with eggs and oil and stir. And I loved stirring. It was my favorite part. And that continued in high school when I was baking with my best friend Claire. But we had moved on from box mixes to recipes. She had a Betty Crocker cookbook, and so we were making brownies and churros and even unique candies like Divinity, which, if you don't know, is a fluffy white candy. And during this time in high school, I also learned that fast food like McDonald's and Wendy's was bad for you. Soda was unhealthy, and so I wanted to know more about healthy food. So I started watching the Food Network, and I learned cooking skills and started to cook as often as I could. I even cooked my first Thanksgiving meal at 16 years old. I made the turkey, I made homemade cranberry sauce, and I made a wild mushroom pudding as our stuffing. And then I went to college, and I lived in a dorm, and we went to the food halls, and I missed cooking so much. But during this time, I also learned about the food industry. See, I was taking an environmental science class, and I did not know that corn is genetically modified, and then it is fed to cows, and then those cows are sick from eating corn, and they get butchered and go to our store shelves. And then we're eating sick meat. Ew, I don't want to eat that. So when I moved off campus and had an apartment, I was making my own meals every day and picking products that were healthy at the grocery store. And as I graduated from college, it was time for me to look for a job. And I struggled. I looked for a job for 2 months and got nothing. So my mom goes, why don't you work at the grocery store? The grocery store? I just spent 4 years in college and to go work at the grocery store? But you know what? I wanted to work. I didn't want to go back to school, not knowing what I was doing, and take out student loans. So I decided I'd work at the best grocery store there is, Whole Foods Market. I got a job at Whole Foods Market marketing their products, and it was a great opportunity because I learned about their standards. See, at Whole Foods Market, they only carry products with no artificial ingredients, no dyes, no sweeteners, along with other strict standards. And I got to learn about sustainable products and fair trade products. Fair trade where the employees making the products are paid a fair wage no matter where they are in the world. And even though now that Amazon has acquired Whole Foods, they no longer hold the same strict standards, I still hold a high standard for food. by buying from local farmers, looking at the ingredients in the products that I shop, and cooking at home as often as I can. And so I encourage all of you whether it's your first speech or your next, So even though I can't see into the future, I know that the skills I'm learning today here in Toastmasters, public speaking, and leadership are helping me to make change in the world that I want to see for food and for health. And so I encourage all of you, whether it's your first speech or your next speech, to share your passions because I know that it can make a difference. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to welcome